Let's go Browns! A major NFL rumor is shaking the Cleveland Browns community right now, and it's one that has the Dawg Pound absolutely buzzing. Imagine this, Chris Olave, the former Ohio State Buckeye and current wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, could be donning brown and orange very soon. Yeah, you heard that right. This isn't just some pipe dream cooked up by fans on Twitter. This comes straight from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated, who revealed that both the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers actually made inquiries about Olave earlier this offseason. Now, before you get too hyped or too skeptical, here's where things get really interesting. The Saints reportedly shut down those conversations quickly at the time. But think about it, the Steelers, who were in the mix, have since shifted gears and traded for DK Metcalf, which effectively removes them from the Olave sweepstakes. But the Browns? The Browns didn't pivot to another wide receiver. And that's where this gets juicy. It's giving major deja vu for Browns fans who remember how the team pursued Jerry Jeudy. They did the homework on Jeudy more than a year before they finally landed him in a trade after Denver initially shut it down. If history tells us anything, it's that Andrew Berry doesn't take no as a final answer when it comes to landing wide receivers. Let's not forget, Andrew Berry is practically addicted to trading for wide receivers. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy, you name it. So when Albert Breer mentions that the Browns kicked the tires on Olave, you better believe that interest isn't going away anytime soon. Olave opened his NFL career with back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. Sure, he dealt with some injury concerns, including a pretty scary concussion in 2024 that sidelined him for a significant stretch. But when this guy is healthy, he's a legitimate game changer. He's not just a slot guy or a deep threat, he's the full package. Now, let's be honest, the Browns' current wide receiver room isn't exactly blowing anyone away. Jerry Jeudy, who's your supposed WR1, finished 5th in receiving yards last season. He had a great run before his concussion, but beyond him, it gets shaky. Mike Woods, your WR3, has barely cracked 100 career receiving yards. You could throw Deontay Johnson into the mix, but come on, can anyone confidently say Johnson will stick around for all of 2025? This is the same guy who managed to get released from not one but two playoff rosters last year. It's hard to feel optimistic there. So yeah, the Olave connection makes all the sense in the world. Not only would it reunite a former Buckeye with the Ohio faithful, which, let's be real, would send this fan base into a frenzy, but it would also finally give the Browns a legitimate wide receiver duo. Picture it, Jerry Jeudy and Chris Olave locking down WR1 and WR2 spots for the next several years. This isn't wishful thinking either. Jeudy just entered the first year of his 3-year extension. If the Browns trade for Olave, they could pick up his 5th-year option and even offer him a 2- or 3-year extension after that. That's at least 3 years, minimum, with these two running the show. Now imagine the impact that has on whoever wins the Browns quarterback battle. Whether it's a veteran like Joe Flacco or a younger option, stepping onto the field with Jeudy and Olave as your primary weapons changes everything. No more excuses. No more questions about whether the quarterback has the right pieces around him. You give a QB that duo, and it becomes crystal clear if he's the guy or not. And speaking of quarterbacks, Albert Breer also dropped some pretty revealing thoughts about the Browns' QB situation. His gut? Joe Flacco starts week 1. Yep, old reliable, 40-year-old Joe Flacco, the man who literally came off his couch last season and led the Browns to the playoffs. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Kevin Stefanski doesn't need to throw Flacco into the fire during OTAs. He's been around long enough. Instead, it's about seeing what you've got in Kenny Pickett and the two rookies, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. But here's the catch. If those younger quarterbacks don't show they're ready to be NFL starters, then it's Flacco time. And let's be real, having a QB room where your fallback is a Super Bowl MVP who just proved he can deliver when called upon is not the worst thing in the world. It's almost bizarre that the Browns could end up with a too many good quarterbacks problem, right? But that's the reality. If Flacco is clearly the best option for week 1 but Kenny Pickett is the second best, what do you do? Do you really cut Pickett just because he didn't beat out Flacco in August? You traded a player and a 5th-round pick to get him, after all. And think about the logistics here. Most NFL teams don't even carry 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster anymore. 4? That's unheard of. You're not cutting your 3rd-round pick Dillon Gabriel. And there's no chance you're cutting Shedeur Sanders. So that leaves Flacco and Pickett fighting for one spot. The loser? Gone. But what if the loser isn't bad, just not as good as the winner? Is that really how short the leash is in this league? This is a front office and coaching staff with some major decisions looming. Not just about how to balance the QB room, but whether or not to finally pull the trigger on a trade that could transform this offense for years to come. Because let's face it, the Saints are teetering on the edge of a rebuild whether they want to admit it or not. Their quarterback situation is a mess. Tyler Shaw is slated as their starter right now, and their roster is aging fast. If the Browns present the right offer, it's hard to believe New Orleans wouldn't at least consider it. So now I turn this to you, Browns fans. What do you think? Should Cleveland go all in to bring Chris Olave home to Ohio? Or is the price tag likely to be too high? And if you think the Olave trade rumor is big, just wait until you hear how this all ties into the quarterback dilemma the Browns are facing. Because let's be honest, this isn't just about stacking the wide receiver room. It's about setting up whoever ends up under center for actual success. And right now, the quarterback room feels like a chess game that's one wrong move away from checkmate. Let's dig deeper into the dynamics. Joe Flacco, 40 years old, Super Bowl MVP, veteran presence, proven winner. He came off his couch last season and not only stabilized the offense but dragged his team to the playoffs. But as reliable as Flacco is, he's not a long-term answer. Then there's Kenny Pickett, freshly acquired, a former first-round pick from Pittsburgh whose career has been rocky at best but who still has untapped potential if put in the right system. Add in the wild cards, Dylan Gabriel, the third-round rookie, and Shedeur Sanders, an electric talent who might have the highest ceiling of them all. But here's the reality. The NFL doesn't wait for development. It's win now or pack your bags. The Browns face a situation where carrying all four quarterbacks just isn't realistic, so the clock is ticking. Let's say Flacco clearly wins the QB1 spot in training camp. What happens to Pickett? You're really going to move on from a guy you just spent real assets on because he was QB2 in August? That's a brutal pill to swallow. But the flip side is equally uncomfortable. If you let Flacco go to keep a younger option like Pickett, are you really prepared to risk this season on someone who hasn't consistently shown he can win games at this level? This is the tightrope Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are walking right now. They're trying to build for the future without punting the present. And that's why this Olave rumor is so much more than just a fun hypothetical. It signals a clear intention. The Browns are trying to surround their quarterback, whoever it ends up being, with weapons that make the offense truly dangerous. Let's talk about why Olave fits this offense perfectly. This isn't just about adding talent for talent's sake. Olave is a pristine route runner, a guy who creates separation with ease, and someone who thrives in both the intermediate and deep passing game. Pairing him with Jerry Jeudy creates a nightmare for opposing defenses. Defenses would be forced to pick their poison. Double Jeudy? Olave burns you. Focus on Olave? Jeudy eats you alive underneath. Oh, and don't forget about David Njoku at tight end and Nick Chubb, if healthy, out of the backfield. This would be the most complete Browns offense we've seen in a decade, if not longer. And that's before even getting into the scheme fit. Kevin Stefanski's offense thrives when receivers can create space on their own, allowing quarterbacks to make high-percentage throws without forcing contested balls. Olave is exactly that guy. He's not relying on jump balls or broken plays. He wins his routes clean. And for the Buckeye faithful, this is the dream scenario. A homegrown star returning to Ohio, suiting up in front of a fan base that already loves him. Imagine First Energy Stadium erupting the first time Olave hauls in a deep touchdown bomb in a Browns uniform. This is more than football. This is personal. This is Ohio pride. But let's not kid ourselves. This move wouldn't come cheap. The Saints know what they have in Olave. He's young. He's productive. He's everything you want in a franchise wide receiver. But the Saints are also in a precarious position. Their roster is aging. Their quarterback situation is dire. Tyler Shaw, as it stands, is their projected starter. This isn't a win-now team anymore. If New Orleans finally admits it's time to rebuild, then acquiring draft picks or younger talent in exchange for Olave suddenly becomes very logical. Now, from the Browns' perspective, this comes down to price. Are you willing to part ways with a first-round pick? Maybe a first plus a second? Or maybe it's a package involving players. Could someone like Deontay Johnson be flipped to New Orleans as part of the deal? There's room for negotiation here, but it won't be a fire sale. And here's another angle that fans have to consider. Making this move sends a message, not just to the locker room but to the entire league. The Browns aren't content with treading water. They're